Breakers, it's Dysfunction Junction, and we are back live. Say hello, Doogie Howser.
Hello, Doogie Howser.
No,
No.
you're Doug. This is
Oh,
my
yes.
husband, Doug. Do you know my husband, Doug? This is him. The other
man,
version,
mystery.
the distant half cousin of Tony Stark.
Well, thank you, I guess.
You're so welcome.
But I didn't bring my glasses.
Guys, listen, I'm a little under the weather, but I'm here. Okay.
You're a trooper.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go.
All right. Enjoy.
Today we're going to talk about how addiction impacts the whole family. I'm a little under the weather, I have to say. I am recuperating. Today is like the first day I've been out of bed. Unfortunately, this emotional and psychological aren't the only kind of breakthroughs we're having around here. Okay. So if you get my drift, if you know what I mean, some of us have caught the diva variant. All right. So look, even though I thought I was fully protected, mama wasn't. And mama has been sick as a dog in bed, like totally dead to the world, super tired. So I'm still very sick, but I'm here because my commitment. Well, thank you. Thanks. I don't feel very, I feel like a hot, sweaty, tired disaster. But my commitment is to come in here on Wednesdays. And honestly, if I didn't, I'd miss you. This is like one of the highlights of my day. My clients and coming in here is like makes my world go round. So anyway, thank you, honey. It's good to see you guys. As you're coming in, make sure you say hello to everybody else, comment so we can all connect. We are live on multiple platforms, so I can't always see who is commenting, and I can't see necessarily all the comments. So I have to come back in afterwards sometimes. But this week, the topic has been how addiction impacts kids. I made a video on Tuesday and uploaded it talking about the different ways that we're impacted. But today I just wanted to give you an example. I want to do like, if you were a fly on the wall inside of a family, how, and addiction is the play, right? In the family, what are the roles that everybody takes on in order to survive? And look, I love that you guys appreciate that I'm a straight shooter. I don't beat around the bush. I tell you exactly how it is. I mean, here, what we're trying to do is educate everybody on the impact of dysfunction and addiction and toxicity in our family dynamic. I have to say, there is not a more important time to have this talk than now. Like 1 in 4 families is like wrestling with addiction. Everybody's dysfunctional to some degree. And if we don't intervene with somebody willing to step up and talk about the shit shows that are going on and talk about the impact and the fallout and the shrapnel that's left over from the war we're in, then we're not going to heal. Like my goal here is to break cycles, right? You're a cycle breaker. That's why you're here. You want to learn how to not keep repeating this pattern in your own life. So the addict or alcoholic is like, well, I'm just affecting me. We know addiction is an extremely self-obsessed psychological disorder. Okay. So the ability to like see how everybody else is impacted is really difficult for the addict or alcoholic. So, but every single person is impacted no matter what. So I'm going to be like a fly on the wall. We're going to go inside of a family dynamic and I'm going to talk about how everybody plays a part. So we've got typical American, and I know I have a lot of viewers that are from all over the world, but I'm just going to go close to home. Okay. Typical family, addicted family. Let's make it up. Let's pretend dad is a raging alcoholic. Okay. Dad's the alcoholic. He's functioning to some degree, but mostly he's like drunk all the time. Okay. And everybody else around him, let's pretend there are 4 kids and a wife and the addict. Okay. And everybody's going to do a little dance around this addict or alcoholic. So dad is doing his thing, falling down drunk, could be mom, whatever. We're going to go with dad, falling down drunk, being his drunk self. One kid is going to become the hero of that family. All right. And this is the kid in the household that's like 9 going on 40. So they're the kid that's like super responsible, really conscientious. They're making sure the house is taken care of and clean. They're making sure all the siblings are doing their homework. I want you to be looking for your family or you in this dynamic. Okay. They're making sure all the siblings are doing their homework and everything is firing on all cylinders in the house. They help with dinner. They clean up the dishes. This is the kid, by the way, too, that is a top student. This is the kid that the house could be on fire, but they're going to school. They're making straight A's. They're captain of the football team or the cheerleading squad. This is the kid that's like gives the family all their self-esteem. In fact, when I would running the family program, which I do, and if you're interested in that family program, our fall session's starting soon. Go over to lovecoachheidi.com to find out about it. But like one person would raise their hand in the group, an alcoholic or an addict would raise their hand and be like, well, I'm not that bad. My Susie is in law school. Okay. If I was that bad, how come Susie's in law school and she's like super successful? I mean, I can't be all bad. All right. And I'm looking at the actor alcoholic and I'm saying, listen, Susie's not a lawyer because of you. She's a lawyer in spite of you. All right. Sometimes, but the hero in the family, the kid that's like the superstar, the barometer of like how well we're doing is oftentimes what makes the addict or alcoholic think that they're not that bad, because here's this kid, they're super successful, they're managing to be okay, right? So they can't be that bad. Oftentimes the hero is the one that gives the whole family their self-esteem. It's like all the pressures on that one kid to say, how are we doing as a family? Dysfunctional as hell, but they're the superstar and high achiever. This is a kid that learns early on. It doesn't matter what you feel. It doesn't matter what's going on. You have to, show must go on. This is a kid that later in life turns into like a pretender and a performer. All their value and self-esteem comes from doing. They're a ladder climber. This is a person later in life that has problems in their intimate relationships, but is a high achiever. If you grew up in an addicted home and you're like, I don't think there's, this could be you, where you're like, yeah, I escaped, man. It was kind of dysfunctional, but I'm really successful. But here you are finding people to rescue in your relationships. Heroes in the family dynamic later on become rescuers and fixers in their relationships. Okay. So that's the path. That's how that's going to be the long-term impact of addiction on that one kid. While they look super successful now, later on, they're going to pay a price for not being able to just be real, make mistakes. They feel like, well, everybody else is so jacked up in that family. I need to be perfect and I can't make any mistakes because I don't want to add to the problems. Okay. So that's one kid in the household. And that could be anybody in your dynamic. It could have been you. Another kid in the household is going to be the kid that's going to be like lost in their room all day long. They don't want anything to do with addiction, talking about it. They're annoyed by conversations. You come in their room, you want to talk to them. They're like, they're lost in their video games. They're lost in books. They're drawing. This is called the lost kid. Hi, Deborah. Hello. This is called the lost kid. And this is the one that like everybody forgets about. They're quiet. They don't make any waves. And again, one could think, well, we're not really impacting this person because look, they're not bothered. They don't want to have anything to do with the family anyway. It's not that they don't. It's not that they're even necessarily born shy. Again, when everybody comes into a family, you're born without a personality. Personality is something you have, not who you are. So when you're born into a family dynamic, you look around and survey the land and be like, who do I need to be to survive this shit? And a lot of the times the lost kid's like, well, I just need to disappear so that I can be okay. So if that's that kid, don't just think that that's that child's personality. Oftentimes it's their coping mechanism reacting to the dysfunction in the household. Now here's where it gets interesting. Another kid is the scapegoat kid. And this is the kid that's probably the most sensitive in the household, but acts out all the trauma drama. So here's the addict or alcoholic, super drunk, right? Acting a fool, acting crazy. And this kid's like robbing churches, sniffing gasoline, smoking weed, getting kicked out of school, getting in fights. And the addict or alcoholic says, well, that kid's, look at this kid. This kid's out of control. No wonder I drink. They usually, like the addict or alcoholic can blame the addiction on the kid that's just acting out all the trauma drama. So if you have a kid that's getting in trouble a lot, that's like, not following the rules and being a big rebellious kid in your dynamic, that is 9 times out of 10 a direct correlation to the dysfunction that's going on in the house, not because they're a bad seed, right? They're acting out. All of that stress goes into them and they just act it out. Also, they might not know how to get any attention at all unless it's negative attention. So all the attention and time might go to that addict and they're over here acting out. It's like, look at me, look at me. This is a kid that becomes an adult that doesn't know how to have positive attention. They're a self-sabotager. They start doing really well in life and they're like, this doesn't feel right. So they're always constantly screwing up all the time, doing okay and then screwing up. That lost kid turns into an adult and they become a person that is like socially awkward. They don't know how to interact with other people. And again, when we get out of an addicted household, many of us, like I have so many students in my programs and clients of mine that say like, oh, we just got out. It's fine. My parents were fine. Everybody did the best they could, you know? And then it turns out there's rampant alcoholism or addiction, or there's neglect or even abuse sometimes. Like they were getting beat with the belt or knocked into walls, and they just didn't count it. They just didn't think that it had an impact. But all these experiences that you've had as a kid in a dysfunctional house, this is the work we do here, is to educate the public. All of these experiences that you've had in your childhood have shaped your actual personality. They are responsible in a large part for how you show up in the world and who you show up as, whether you're shy, whether you're successful, not successful, all those things are directly related. And I know there's arguments for and against this on both sides, okay? But there's more evidence showing that the impact of addiction leads to dysfunctional attachments later on in life. And you could be really successful in some areas, but where this is going to show up for you later, if you don't understand the impact, is in the area of your relationships or in the area of your self-sabotage, okay? So we've got the hero kid, the lost kid up in their room. We've got the scapegoat who's like getting in trouble. And then we have the clown. And this is the kid in the household that's like trying to make light of the situation and release some of that pressure by being the comedic relief, the performer in the household. I'm not going to name any names in my own family. I never do that. I'm not going to name names. There may or may not have been an incident in my own household where I had a bunch of friends over. And that was a rare occurrence because my dad was such a loose cannon. I never knew what the hell he was going to do. So I was like, you know, but he was in bed. He had drank so much, he was in bed. So I had a bunch of friends over and we were all playing instruments. And that's what we used to do for fun. Everybody grab a guitar, a tambourine, or a drum. And we were sitting around and making up songs. And then all of a sudden I heard like my dad start to come down the steps. I was like, shit. I just knew it was going to be so embarrassing. And my dad used to sleep in the tightest little tiny blue underwear. Like, okay. Like this is some real, like, that's not a good scene, underwear. And he starts coming down the steps and I hear him like banging into the walls. And I'm like, oh shit, he's still drunk. This is going to be really bad. So he comes downstairs and I'm already like mortified. I'm thinking this is the end of me socially, right? He comes down the steps, falls into our little circle, sits Indian style in his tight blue underwear, sits Indian style in front of my group and just like drunk as hell. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so terrible. And without a beat, I'm not going to name names, one of the persons in the family grabs a guitar without skipping a beat and goes, blue undies in the middle of the night, and makes up a whole song. And everybody starts playing blue undies in the middle of the night, a song about my dad coming downstairs on the fly. And everybody's hysterical and laughing. And the moment's gone, right? The pressure's gone. The stress is gone. The moment is saved. But it was at the expense of the alcoholic. It was at the expense of my dad. And oftentimes the clown in the family, the comic relief, is the one making light of the addiction. Oh yeah, there goes dad again, falling into the potatoes. Oh, I guess, you know, like making jokes. And it's not funny, but if you're not laughing, you're dying. You know, that's how a lot of people feel. And then the victim in the household is the one that's like, well, I only act this way because of you. You know, you make me behave this way. I really want to stop doing this, but I just can't. I want to be able to quit, but I just don't have what excuses. And who plays that role? Who do you think plays that role in the family? The addict or alcoholic? I remember one time my dad said to me, I was working at a treatment center at this time. And I know I always would say to my dad, hey, Dad, you can come to treatment anytime. You can come where I'm at. I always encourage him to come to treatment. And he would say one time he said to me, well, honey, I really want to come to treatment, but I just feel like the damage is already done and you just would never forgive me. I just can't undo what I've done. And it's just like, it would be so hard. You wouldn't forgive me. And I looked at him and I was like, Dad, of course, if you go to treatment, it's going to be difficult, but always forgiven. Because at the end of the day, I just want you to be well. I just want you to be healthy and happy. And he thought about it for a minute. He was like, yeah, but everybody else won't forgive me. You might forgive me, but other people won't forgive me. And I looked at him and I said, Dad, well, I guess as long as you keep believing that, then you have a reason to keep drinking. And this is where I'll never forget it. He looked at me and he goes, wow. He goes, Rain, you're good at what you do. Because he knew that he was manipulating me in that situation. Excuses, justifications, rationalizations. That's what the role the victim plays. And it's hard to spot because if you're not adept at this, you will believe what the addict or alcoholic is saying to you and feel bad and confuse that pity for like love. But sometimes love doesn't look like pity. Love looks like holding people's feet to the fire sometimes. Love looks like not accepting excuses, justifications, and rationalizations. Love sometimes looks like calling the shit out, calling a spade, having a come to Jesus holy moment. Okay. But the last role is one of the roles that make this the hardest for a family to heal. And do you know what role that is? We got the hero, the scapegoat, the clown, the victim. Did I miss any? The lost kid. I missed the lost kid. Irony. Who is left? The enabler, the chief enabler. Now, again, I'm not going to name names. Let's pretend this may or may not have been my family dynamic. Okay. But my dad could have been, this is the one that's like, I know I have a lot of heroes that I work with, right? Because I was the hero in my family dynamic. That's the role that I played. I was like, dun, 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 dun. I got it, And I had a family member that played the opposite role of that, where I would be like, oh my God, he's so drunk right now. And this family member would say, is he drinking? Is he drunk? I mean, he could be falling down, peeing inside of his own pants, okay? Drunk. And she'd be like, I didn't see him drink today. I mean, I was with him all day and I didn't see him take a sip. He could fall down the stairs, hit his head off the corner, slobber. And she'd be like, is your blood pressure low? And I'd be like, he's annihilated. He's blasted out of his mind. Is he drunk? Do you need a sandwich, honey? Is your blood pressure okay? Let me get you a cookie or a cracker. Let me get you some soda. I mean, I could be over exaggerating or not, but it was a situation where it was like, just like constant, like, I don't know. I don't think he's drinking. Well, I don't even carry beer in the house anymore. I just carry wine because he drinks beer and I haven't seen him drink that wine. And I'm like, did you like all the spots, like the heroes, like running around the house, dumping down the bottles, you know what I mean? Trying to like save the day. An enabler is like filling up the bottle, making sure the hiding spaces are good so the kids don't find it. One time I remember, he was so drunk and he wanted to get in the car and drive down. We lived out in this country, okay, in the backwoods, like West Virginia. And there was like gas station around the corner and he wanted to go drive to get alcohol. Now this is where it's like, is it enabling to like take the keys? Well, you got to figure out what you believe in as a family member, But I remember one time he wanted to drive and like he was going to kill somebody or kill himself. And so I'm like, he can't drive, I said to the person, I said, you got to take those keys. He can't drive. So she was like, honey, you can't drive right now. You're drinking. You cannot drive right now. And he's like pitching a fit. He's like threatening, you don't tell me, I'll divorce you. Da, 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 da. Now, to any other family member who has like a bullshit detector, will go, okay, he's just like, that's noise. He's not going to divorce you if you don't give him the keys. But enablers, their biggest fear is that love is going to be taken away. Their relationship, that's not even real, by the way, but the relationship is going to be sacrificed. And so what they're trying to do is like save the relationship instead of save lives. Okay. I know that's deep, but that's real. Okay. So that person would say, well, the enabler says, well, you're too drunk to drive. No, I'll drive you to get your beer. You're too drunk to drive. I'll drive. Not just like, no, here's the keys. If you want to go, you find a way, you walk, you do whatever. I don't care, but I'm not driving you and I'm not getting it because I'm not co-signing you drinking because I'm not going to help you kill yourself. But an enabler would be like, I'll take the beer. I remember we'd be at a Mexican restaurant, for example, and we love to have Mexican foods, one of my favorite foods. And we would go to this big restaurant, but I would be mortified to go, even as much as I love the food, because I just didn't know what the hell was going to break loose. And I'd be sitting at the table, like just trying to have a little bit of enjoyment with my food, just waiting for the holy moment to go awry. And sure as hell, there'd be a moment where my dad would start to get up, and it wasn't like a dance hall, but he would get up and start to dance in the middle of the place and try to do these kind of like dances and act like he's like, I don't even know. It wasn't even Mexican dance. I don't know what the hell it was. Okay. But he's like, try to dance. And I'd be mortified. And that enabler would think we're having fun and get up and join him. Okay. And like, hee, and I'd be like so frustrated. Like, you're co-signing this. Like and I'm going to tell you, when you're a kid in that environment, you often don't think the addict or alcoholic is the problem. You think it's the enabler. You're like, he would get sober if you would quit pretending it's okay. He would be sober if you quit acting like you're having fun and look at him and go, you're shit-faced. This is not fun. I'm not going to interact with you. I'm not going to engage in you. I love you, and I'll be back when you're sober. Instead of let's do it, let's dance, let's go golf 18 holes and I'll carry you and pretend we're having a good time, but you're asleep on the thing. And I'm like, what a good game, honey. I mean, so as a kid, if you have kids and you're the enabler, your kids aren't even as mad at the addict as they are at you. And that's the truth. Now, as an adult, hindsight down the road, I can look and say, well, she was just doing what she believed in. She had her own set of rules and values and her own ideas and loved him. And that's a story for another time. My dad actually did end up coming to the treatment center where I was a teacher and a coach, and I had him in my classes. And the first class I had him in was a class called Adult Children of Alcoholics, where I was the teacher and he was a student in that class. And that was like a real pivotal moment in my life, a real pivotal moment. That's a story for another time, how, we got my dad into treatment and he was in my treatment center where I worked. But as a kid, what you need to know right now today is everybody's impacted. So even the person that's making the straight A's in the household, and they're the captain of the cheerleading squad, and they're doing the dance team, and they're excelling, they are just as sad or just as impacted as the kid who's sniffing gasoline and robbing churches. They're just acting out and coping in different ways. Everybody's traumatized to some degree. So what I want to encourage, what's the purpose of this today? What is the purpose of me coming on here live? A is to shed awareness and educate everybody as far as how addiction impacts everybody, so we can like blow the lid off this thing and stop being silent. We have a lot of help for addicts and alcoholics. I also help them as well. We have a lot of help for that. But the families where the fallout and the shrapnel is from the war you've been in, even when the war ends, you still got the shrapnel. If we don't know where that shrapnel is and how to get it out, we are going to inadvertently repeat those patterns, that codependency pattern, for generations to come. And our work is to break cycles for good around here. Okay. So awareness is number one. Number two, to deepen that awareness, I've written a book. I've come up with 8 different attachment personality patterns. Remember how I was saying we're not ourselves, we take on a personality? We have 8 different, as far as I'm concerned, that we take on in order to survive, thrive, connect, or cope in a dysfunctional or toxic family dynamic. You can download that book for free over at lovecoachheidi.com. That's one way. Download that book and have a conversation and see where you're at. Number 2, away. Or 3, if you're paying attention. This is a book that's actually for adults, written as a child's perspective on how addiction affects us as we grow up and how toxicity. I could substitute addiction, abuse, toxicity, absence, mothering. It's all the same. And this is a book, I'm going to read it to you someday, that you can buy on Amazon and have it for your whole family to talk about. It's meant to be like a therapeutic tool where you can sit. It's written like a poem. It's very easy to digest. This is the brand new go-to book on codependence. It's so simple. We can all get it. We can all understand it. And we stop, we read a page as a family, and we go, who can relate to this? Who's done this behavior before? And you just talk as a family. And then you read another thing and you say, hey, I've done this before. Have you guys, how's this shown up for you? It's meant to heal your family. Go on Amazon and buy it. It's called What's Wrong With Me? The Lasting Impact on Children Who Grow Up in Addiction, Abuse, or Dysfunction. Or you can support our mission to get this book in every single treatment center in the world. We want to donate them to every treatment center in the world. You can go to lovecoachheidi.com to my page there where it says support the mission, and you can donate. And we will donate books in your name to a drug and alcohol treatment center or to a another place that helps shelters, obviously people in different kind of situations. There's lots of different people besides the treatment centers who need to get their hands on this book. Even therapist office and things like that need to have this book. Okay. Foster care obviously can benefit from it, so you can support the mission. The last thing is, if this is you or your family and you're struggling with codependency, you can heal. And when you heal the planet one person at a time, starting with you. And that's exactly what our programs do. And so if you're interested in coming alongside of us in one of our programs and working through some of this damage and getting that shrapnel out one bit at a time, you can go over to lovecoachheidi.com and schedule a consultation. I'll point you in the right direction. We'll spend about 30 minutes together, get to know each other's needs. Either myself or somebody from my team will get with you and figure out what program is the best and talk about the next steps for you. We also have private coaching as well, one-on-one, if you're a person that just needs to hear it and get down to it and wants private one-on-one attention. All right. Many ways to heal. I love you very much. I am going to continue to rest. I have some more clients today. I have my group tonight. Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. is when we do our semi-private coaching with our programs. So if you're interested in joining me in that, you could sign up right now today and you can come in the group tonight. The Diva variant is definitely kicking my butt. I'm sweating. We've got sweat from Diva variant happening, even though breakthrough, okay, whatever that is, and perimenopause. I have hit the lottery. Okay. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm here, but I love you and I'm committed. That's why I'm here. Okay, guys, I love you so much. I'm going to come back in and read the comments and comment on everything later on. I hope you have the best day of your life today. I hope this made sense. I hope me sharing some of the insight from my own family dynamic is helping you. I love you. Take excellent care. Would love to deepen our connection in a program or coming alongside you one-on-one. Would love to see your beautiful face in these comments, sharing. And if this is helpful for you, how we spread the message is we buy books to support people. We share videos with other people that we know are struggling, and we break cycles one person at a time. And it starts with you. I love you so much. I'll see you soon.